All right, so we're recording. Welcome everyone to our second session of our EDD workshop. So we have our agenda here on my screen. We are scheduled to go from 12:30 to 4, but I anticipate we'll be ending a little bit earlier. So our agenda for today, I'll start off by taking questions if anyone has any questions on really anything we covered last time. We're going to get into complex queries. So I'm going to go into how to do like a complex search using Eric. Next, we'll talk about APA 7 formatting. We're going to look at student paper formatting and then a professional paper formatting. We're going to look at Cabell's scholarly analytics to look at journals. Have any of you guys used Cabell's before or heard of it?
No.
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, it's a useful tool for when you have to start publishing your papers. It lets you look at different journals and to compare different journals to see which one might be the best fit for your paper. We're going to talk about instruments, not like guitars or things like that, but like instruments like surveys, questionnaires, things like that. We're going to spend a little bit of time on that. How many of you guys have heard of like instruments in research or already have to use them in your research? Anyone at that stage already?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, cool. Well, we'll cover that, and then we're going to end with Zotero. So I'm going to cover my sort of take on Zotero. I'll cover like the basics, but sort of what I like about it. Just out of curiosity, did any of you guys here attend the Zotero workshop? That was a couple weeks ago, I think.
I did. I attended the Zotero workshop, but it was mostly it wasn't for the Mac. So he told me they would have another one for the Mac in November. So I went ahead and listened, and I was able to get a few things, which were helpful.
Awesome, that's good to hear. Yeah, we have two Zotero sessions. One of them already passed. We have another one coming up in November, and then we have a separate Mac one as well. So that'll be I can share our agenda sort of when we finish, if you guys can remind me, to just point out other workshops that are coming up. But yeah, a lot of us use Windows, so I'm going to be covering it from a Windows perspective. I think a lot of things might be transferable, but there's probably going to be some things that you might need to go to the Mac specific one for really specific like functionality and things like that. So then we're going to end with Zotero, and that should be it. So first of all, let's begin with questions. Does anyone have any questions about anything, any research, anything that's come up in your classes, anything at all?
I have a question. So I know we've gone through it, but then I just still get confused. So when we do insight, citations, if it's 3 or more authors, we put the ET all, right? Or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, but if it's 3 authors, exactly 3 authors, we actually list them out. That's where I get confused because sometimes I see it that it's there, then sometimes I don't.
I think you use et al. So you only use, so in-text citation.
Yes.
If you list both of them. If it's 3 or more, then you use the et al. So you're using APA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's 3 or more, it's et al.
Okay, so if it's okay, 3 or more. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Any other questions?
I have a question on one of our assignments. Our teacher, is asking us to, read an assignment. But for the most part, I can find the assignment. But unless it's on one library, I'm not able to find it anywhere else, and I haven't been able to figure out how to request it from other sites. Are we going to go through that today?
So you broke up a little bit in the middle. You're saying about finding sources and how to request them from other libraries?
Yes.
Yeah, we can go over that.
Yes.
I can show you really quickly right now. So here I'm at the library homepage. So you go to interlibrary loan request on the left, and then you sign in. Sweet, I'm signed in. So it'll bring this up, and then you can request a book or an article. So you can do it manually here if you know the article's title, the journal title, the publication year. So the more information you can fill out, the better. But yeah, you can do that here. And if you're searching on OneSearch, it'll usually have the option, like if it's not available, to request it from interlibrary loan, and it'll do this automatically. But if you ever want to do this manually, you can come here. And then I could link this for you in the chat also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Any other questions? So I had a handout for you guys. I'm not figuring out how to link it in the chat, but I'm just going to show you really quick. So right here, we're going to look at, and I've met with a couple of students already about, they're looking at really specific topics, and they're trying to figure out how to construct a search term. So this is kind of an example of something that can get really complicated because it goes by so many things. So question, what methods are effective to teach a mixed group of English speaking and English as a second language learners in the elementary classroom? So if you have a question like that, there's a lot of key terms you can look at. And it's important to think about controlled vocabulary. So we're referring to something as one thing, but it can be referred to as a lot of things. So you got to think about what different ways you want to address it. So for example, English speakers, English only, EO, fluent English proficient, non-English speakers, that has a lot of names. So English for speakers of other languages, ESL, ESOL, TESL, TESOL, and then so it has all these other things. When we're talking about elementary, do we mean elementary school students, elementary, secondary education, and then effective? We can break that down into all these different things. Teaching methods, teacher effectiveness, educational practices, program effectiveness. So I think most of you are already started and already going strong on your research topics. But if you ever need to start again, I've talked to one student who did that already. It might be a good idea to map out all your terms like this. And then this is what we get for our final query, kind of putting all that together. So we get all that. So all of these are going to be ORs. So each one and each column is going to be in an OR. So we're going to have, you guys can see that, right? Cool. Each one of these is going to be inside a little parentheses because I want this or this or this or this or this. So if depending on your topic, you could have a lot of things that mean the same thing. So all of these together, and then each one of these lines that are separating each one would be an and. So English only or EO or fluent English proficiency and all of these things and elementary school students or elementary or secondary education and teaching methods or teacher effectiveness or. So the columns are separated by ands and then everything on the inside is separated by an or. Does that make sense? And you guys probably won't need to get this in depth with your searches, but we have this mess of a query right now. And by the way, a query is like a search term. So we call it a query. So this looks like a big mess. When I first looked at it, I was like, there's no way that's going to work. But if it's crafted well, let's go to choose a database. And we kind of went over this already last time. For databases, we come over to educational leadership. And then these are the 4 main ones that we suggest for for most topics within this, like the EDD program. Obviously, you might have to consult and you should consult other databases depending on what your topic is, but these are the main useful ones. So let's try ERIC because I'm going to be focusing on ERIC a lot. So I copied and pasted that whole thing. So I'm going to search and we actually do get a lot of results. So we get 166. And that's everything that we typed in. It's this super long search. So if you do it right and you like use the right terms and the right Boolean operators, then it can you can get a lot of good things. And really with that really big search, you can sort of include what you want and exclude what you don't want. So that's an example of like a really good search. Any questions about that?
Can you show how you got to that again on the main page?
Eric? Yes, so we're starting at the library homepage, so I can go ahead and link it in the chat. So from the library homepage, I'm going to come down to choose a database. And then we have our databases listed from A to Z, and we also have them listed by categories. Look at this. So for you guys are educational leadership. We have all these other categories, and I encourage you guys to use some from other ones like education, sociology, depending on what your topic is. But the main ones are educational leadership. So right over here, I'm going to click on that. And then we have our most useful. Our most useful are Emerald Insight, which has scholarly journals and management disciplines, including marketing, human resources management, operations. Eric is going to be one of the main ones you guys use, scholarly and professional resources and education for all age groups. PsycInfo, that's also a good one, psychology and related fields. And then social sciences citation index. So these are the main ones, but then also useful are dissertation and theses, humanities and social sciences, and then education index retrospective. And then not listed here, but I'll go over also a little bit later. Academic Search Premier, and a couple ones I can't remember right now, but definitely you don't want to limit yourself to just these. I was talking to a student the other day who was just using Eric, and she was having trouble finding things. So you definitely don't want to limit yourself. Don't only stick to one database. I'd say a good practice is to like use 2 or 3 depending on what your topic is. And if you really get stuck, then you really branch out after that. You might even use one search, or you might even do a Google search depending on how niche your topic is, just to get started. But yeah, so that was Eric. We click on Eric and then we get here. Since you guys are all off campus, it's not just going to take you here. You're going to have to sign in first. So I assume it like prompted you to sign in with your Coyote ID. And then once you do sign in, it'll take you to this. Okay, questions about that? Okay, so now we're on Eric. Let's go ahead and transition to our topic or our sort of complicated query. Oh, Philip, yes.
Hi, well, I'm sorry I'm late. I did have a question for the books. If there's physical textbooks at the library in San Bernardino, is there a way to get them sent to the Palm Desert campus to pick them up?
Yes, there's a way. You're talking about like physical books that we have available for checkout here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There is a way. Let me see. Sorry, this thing's in my way. You guys know how to get, you guys don't see it, like the little black bar when you're on a Zoom call. You guys probably don't see that. Oh, there we go. So let's go. If you're looking for books, and I can just cover this really quick. So I don't know, like math textbook or something. You would search it, and then you would want to limit to, I don't know if we have any, CSUSB. And then if you want them that are physically here, available in the library. Okay, so we have this book, An Illustrated Theory of Numbers. It's on the 5th floor. So what you can do is click on it and then sign in to see request options. So it's going to go ahead and sign you in. And then this might work, request item for pickup. And then you pick up location. So you change the pickup here. So since you're at the Palm Desert, you would click here. And then you would send the request.
And then they'll just email me when the copy's over there.
Yeah, so I would assume this would take like about a week. Usually our physical requests, they say 3 to 5 days, but they would email you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, so we're at Eric here. I talked about this briefly last time. I talked about creating individual accounts for different databases. So just because you have, you're signed into OneSearch, let me go back and show that. So from the library homepage, you can just click on OneSearch. And then if you see your name in the top right, well, you can go ahead and sign in. If you see your name in the top right, then that means you're signed in, right? So you're signed into OneSearch. However, once you go to one of like our external databases, like for example, Eric, then you need to sign in again. And this is going to be a separate account. So it's not connected to your OneSearch account. So like I mentioned last time, I gave you guys some time to create an account last time. If you guys want to go ahead and sign in. If you weren't here last time, you can go ahead and create it now. But this is really useful for saving searches. And then saving like ebooks or things like that. Or so it's just really useful to have. So to do that, you would sign in, and then I should have showed it, but below the sign in, it gave you the option to create an account. So you just use your email and then create a password. So it's a good practice to do that. So let me point out before I move on the difference between EBSCOhost and Eric. So here at the top in the main center, you see EBSCOhost. That's not the name of this specific database. That's the name of sort of like the overarching company that has it, because EBSCOhost owns a lot of different databases. They own PsycInfo too. So if you were to go to PsycInfo, you would see this as well. The only way you can tell the difference to see what database you're actually searching is over here on top of the search bar. You see searching Eric right now. So that's how we know what database we're on. So right now we're searching for Eric. Okay. And then once we go to PsycInfo in a little bit, it'll look the exact same way, except it'll say PsycInfo over here. Okay. So that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind. Okay, so let's practice doing a complex search. And then I'm going to point out a couple of tools like the thesaurus here, right? Thesaurus. So let's begin with, let's say, a sample search. Let's say I'm interested in college students and success and how that relates to emotional intelligence. So how students' emotional intelligence affects or enhances their success in college. So my key terms, college students and emotional intelligence. So if you guys were here at my last one, you know that this is not a super great search because we want to change it a little bit. But I get 791 results, right? So let's talk about the end. I mentioned this last time. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it last time about the 3 main Boolean operators that we use. So they're called Boolean operators, and that's and, or not. So we use and when we want to connect 2 concepts. We use or when we want to use one or the other. So we're giving the database an option to return this one or this one. And then we use not when we want to exclude certain terms, but not that really common. So those are the 3 Boolean operators, and there's additional tools that you can use. One of which I made a big deal about last time, and that is quotation marks. So we're going to put these into quotation marks, and then we're going to do another search. And that brought my search results down to 493, down from 700. So the reason you want to use quotation marks is that you're telling the database, I want these 2 terms together. I want it just like I typed it. And that's really important if you're doing a lot of searches on different phrases, because if not, then it might search college over here and then students over here, but not necessarily next to each other. So anytime you have a phrase, it's a good idea to use quotation marks. Okay. So we got 493. So that's a little bit better, but we can still refine this a little bit more. So if you look here, so I have the title, I have the author, the journal, the date of publication, and then down here we have subjects. So that's one thing I really like about the EBSCOhost databases is that they're really good about communicating different subjects. So let's go ahead and click on the first one as an example. So we have descriptors. Anytime you're like in the planning stages or maybe even later, and you're not really sure what to search or like there's this concept of aboutness, right? Like students meet with me and tell me like, I'm looking for this, and I kind of get their idea, but I'm like, what's the term that really encapsulates that? What's the term? And sometimes it might be a specialized term that you use in your field that I might not be familiar with. So this really helps with that because it points out descriptors, sort of like common or standard language that refer to that thing, right? So for this descriptors, we have test anxiety, emotional intelligence, academic achievement, college students, public colleges. So a lot of good terms that I might use if I'm just starting out my search. So let's go back to result list. And then another cool thing on the left here, I can click on subject, and then it brings me back even more terms. So the one I was just looking at was that specific article, like the terms that it used. But if I go over here on subject and show more, this is going to bring up a lot of different terms that came up based on those terms that I use. So for example, post-secondary education, college students, foreign countries, undergraduate students, correlation. So it's really interesting, like foreign countries, based on what I typed in about emotional intelligence. So that tells me there's an interesting correlation there. Student attitudes, measures of individuals, gender differences, interpersonal competence. So a lot of these are pretty specific terms that I might not have thought of before. So anytime you're using an EBSCOhost database, definitely take advantage of this and look through the subject terms because you might get some good ideas. Okay, so I have this this search and that's my term, but I'm not really happy with this one. So let's go ahead and check out the thesaurus over here. Thesaurus, no, that's not a dinosaur. It's a book. Well, back in the day when we still had books, a thesaurus was kind of like a dictionary where you had a word and then it told you these are other words that are like that word. So kind of like synonyms. So we have a thesaurus here. If you're struggling with coming up with terms, you can put them in here. So for example, let me put in college students. And then I'm going to hit browse. So the thing about this, so it brings up words, obviously, that mean the same thing. But you see that college students is kind of linked. It's in blue, right? So that means this is going to encapsulate every article that has to do with that has a lot to do with that. So this is a descriptor. It's like a topic. So it's more than just a term. It's a whole group of articles that this database has collected under that. So I can click on college students, and then I'm going to add. So I have college students. So it has if you notice here, I have DE and then college students. So DE, that's a notation specific to Eric. So what that's saying is that this is concerning that subject term. So these are subject terms. So they're they collect like whole articles that have a lot to do with that. So college students, and the other thing was emotional intelligence. So I'm going to browse. And then again, it's linked, it's blue. That means it has a whole subject covering emotional intelligence. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go ahead and add. Okay, so if you notice, I'm sort of building a term here. Up here, I have DE college students and DE emotional intelligence. So now that I built that term, let's go ahead and search and see what happens. So now it brings back articles that have a lot. So here you see subject. So emotional intelligence and college student is one of those subjects. That means it has a lot to do with those terms. And then we get videos too. So if you guys are looking for videos, Eric also has that. But I assume a lot of what you guys will be looking for will have to be scholarly journals. So we'll go ahead and click that on the left, and then that'll weed out a lot of different resources that aren't scholarly. So now I have DE college students and DE emotional intelligence, okay? But we still have 226 results. So we can definitely refine it more. So I'm gonna leave those two terms as it is, and then I'm gonna add a couple of other terms. So and, again, and is one of those Boolean operators. I'm going to put success because we were talking about sort of academic achievement and successful students. So I'm going to put success with an asterisk. So asterisk is that little floating star. This is called truncation. So truncation is another tool that we can use when we're searching databases. So what this is going to do is it's going to search every variation of that word after I put in the truncation. So I put in success, so it's going to search successful, successfully, success, whatever, any other variations of that word, it'll search and include that in my results. So that's really useful depending on your search term. One example I like to use is teenagers. If you're doing anything involving like teenagers and you're using that word, I like to put teen and an asterisk because then that searches teen, teens, teenager, teenage, teenagers. So it's just a bunch of variations of that word. So I'm going to put success, asterisk, and then I'm going to put or, right? So that's our other Boolean operator. Or I'm going to put academic achievement in quotations. So again, quotations because it's two words, it's a phrase. So when we're talking about academic achievement, it could be success or it could be academic achievement, right? There's different ways that articles define that concept. And I'm going to include another one, or college graduation, right? And then I'll close that. So then I've given it three options to bring back success. It could be any variation of the word success. It could be the phrase academic achievement, or it could be the phrase college graduation. So let's look at our term really quick. So I need to have the concept of college students and emotional intelligence. So I need both of those. And in addition to that, I need both of those, and I give it the option of everything within these parentheses. So those two things and one of these things. So let's go ahead and search and see how that changed everything. So it brought our search results from 226 down to 60. Okay, so creating like a really good search term can be really beneficial because it like really narrows down your results. So the three Boolean operators to keep in mind are and, or, and not, and then quotation marks and the little asterisk. So any questions about that?
I do have a question. So can you just clarify again the DE? I'm getting confused about that. I'm trying to think of how I can apply that on mine.
Yeah, great question. So the DE is only specific to Eric. So you can't really use this in other databases.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's this notation from the database because we looked at specific subject terms. So those came specifically from the thesaurus.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Anyone else? Okay, so I have another, and then after this one, I can take maybe an example from one of you guys if you have like a topic you'd like me to try to search. But before that, I have another example. So how do people's perceptions of special education students impact their academic achievement? So that's the question. So let's go back to just starting fresh, starting again. Special education, academic achievement, and then perceptions. So those are sort of like the three things. Anytime somebody comes to me with like a a term or question, I try to think about what are the key terms there that I can search and what are the variations of that. So we can begin with special education. So that's one of them. And again, academic achievement. And if you end up like researching and these topics and searching over and over again, you kind of start to remember what the terms are or what the specific, the preferred terms that you should use are. Special education, academic achievement, and then the last one was a little bit tricky. Perceptions, right? So what I have here is expectation with an asterisk or attitude with an asterisk. So again, because that includes expectation, expectations, and then attitude, attitudes, and any other variations. Okay, so I got 900 results. So it looks like we're getting a lot of different results because we're not really specific about education at what level. So if this was a student, I'd do like a reference interview is what we call, and I'd ask a lot of questions like, what specifically are you looking for? Like students at what age level, what kind of academic achievement, what expectations, academic or social or both. So that's how I would refine that. But we can put special needs students is what I have here. And let's see how that changes it up. So that kind of cut our results in half. So that went from 900 to 463. So again, we could do look at the subject terms. So we have them listed here: success, expectation, inclusion, special needs students. So that's why I changed that, because I saw that this was a specific subject term that, so this is an example of a controlled vocabulary that we have these categories. So this category would be special needs students, and a whole bunch of articles that have anything to do with that are categorized under this category of special needs students. Negative attitudes, stereotypes, academic achievement, academic accommodations. So all of these subjects are like subjects that articles get classified under.
I have a question. Would it make a big difference if you listed it as students with disabilities instead of special needs students?
Like that phrase, student with disability. You can try it. Students with disabilities. I feel like we might get less. Oh, we got more. So that changed a lot of things. So what we can do is students with disabilities or special needs students. And then we probably get even more. So yes, there was a difference because we got a whole different, I assume that a lot of those articles would be kind of like the same. You get like overlap, but you probably get a couple articles that were different. But you can get around that by using both of them, students with disabilities or special needs students. Yeah, that's a good question. Is that sort of a more common term in the field, or?
Yes, I'm doing mine on that topic, and I'm listing it as students with disabilities rather than students with special needs.
Yeah, I see that one here too. So students with disabilities here. So it's another like its own subject.
Right.
So yeah, you could use either, but it's probably, you would probably get different articles. So let's go down here to subject and then show more. And then we can see all the different. So we see students with disabilities, we had 266, but then special needs students, we had 196. So it does look like that's the more popular or the more accepted phrase. Then we have disabilities, teacher attitudes, student attitudes, secondary education. So all the different possible like subjects that are included with this search are listed here. So that's pretty cool. So the way I'm going to change it now, and this will be my last edit, is I'm going to say special education and academic achievement and expectation or attitude. And then I'm going to clarify my age level. So I'm going to write and elementary. Okay, so then that sort of hones in on what kind of special education I mean. So it would be elementary. Because right here we have elementary, secondary education. So that hones it in a little bit. So yeah, this isn't like exhaustive. Obviously, there are like a bunch of different things we can do, like you mentioned, saying students with disabilities instead of special needs students. But these are the types of things you might want to keep in mind when you're trying to refine your searches. So early childhood education would be one, elementary education, kindergarten, primary education. So elementary really includes all of these, right? So it might be a good idea to include all of these. And then we have descriptors here. So a whole bunch of words for that same concept. So questions? Okay, does anyone have a topic they want to try a search?
Yeah, what about undocumented foster youth?
Good one. Okay, so undocumented. Do you know if that's a term, undocumented foster youth?
I don't think so. I'm just thinking of like, because what I might be looking at is foster youth students who are also undocumented. I don't believe it's one. I haven't seen a lot. I haven't found anything really, a lot of studies on specifically that term.
Got it. So it looks like it's not a term. I only got 10 results. So one thing they have here is undocumented immigrants. So what you can do is combine them. So undocumented immigrants and foster care, because I see foster care here. And it depends on what you mean by youth. So we can change that, undocumented immigrants. All right, so undocumented immigrants. And what was the other one? I forgot. Do you remember what it said? Foster
Care, foster youth.
foster, I think it was foster care and youth. Okay, so that brings one result. So in this case, I would, since it has a lot to do with like sociology, I would look into maybe PsycInfo or Social Sciences Citation Index. So what we can do is, actually, I didn't mean to do that. Let's copy and paste this term. And then let's try PsycInfo. And this is a practice I encourage everyone to do is, okay, sometimes you'll get the same results, but sometimes you'll get different results. So let's go to Social Sciences Index. Because since Eric is more, I understand, education-based than other sort of, hang on. Other, it might not bring back as much on certain topics. So one that I like, EBSCO Academic Search Premier. And we might just have to change the term, but I feel like this one would bring back a lot more. Yeah, so that's the one I was thinking about. So you got 8 results here. So Academic Search Premier is under the sociology databases. But since you have, the concept of undocumented immigrants and foster care and youth, so these are more like sociology-based concepts. So foster home care, undocumented immigrants, we got that right. And then the other thing about youth is you might want to like redefine what you mean by youth. Like if you have a specific age range or like here they have child and youth services, so you might use that. So yeah, and you notice that here we don't have the thesaurus because even though it says EBSCO host, we're now searching Academic Search Premier. So the thesaurus is only for Eric. But the next thing I'd suggest to do is to look at, different, well, that's a term that comes up a lot with this. To look at different subjects and then try to mix and match with both your query and then in different databases as well. Back to Eric. Yeah, that's a good one. Have you started research on that? Have you found like a lot of things?
No, that's why I haven't like, because I was just looking at foster youth, and then the idea of undocumented students in foster youth came up, and yeah, I've been looking and I haven't found a lot.
All right, you can make an appointment with me, and then I could help you one-on-one, like really craft a lot of different searches.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else want to try one before we move on?
Can I try mine? I've been trying, my focus is non-Spanish speaking ESL learners, and I haven't been able to find much.
So say that again, non-Spanish speaking?
Non-Spanish speaking ESL learners.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good, that's what I've been using to look up data, and I'm not finding much.
So ESL, they have students here, so I'm gonna try that, students. Not Spanish. Because you're looking at, you said you want to look at ESL students, but not referring to Spanish, right?
Yes.
Okay, so definitely I would include not Spanish. So then that gets rid of a whole subset of just Spanish, right? So all of these are going to be ESL students. So like Chinese, for example, that's a good place to start. And then obviously you'd want to maybe use the thesaurus. Let me see that really quick. So ESL student, browse. So it tells you ESL teachers use that. ESO use English second language. So it tells you what term to use.
Oh, okay.
So let's try, I guess we can just try teachers. And then not. Oh, so yeah, English as a second language. And then not Spanish. Let's see what it brings up with Spanish. I guess Spanish culture, Spanish literature, Spanish speaking, Spanish. Yeah, so let's just add Spanish and Spanish speaking. Yeah, so that can help you out. This search is a little bit messed up. Well, let's see. But yeah, definitely make use of not. Okay.
Not, okay. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so let's just move on because just to keep on schedule. Any other questions about that, about Eric and searching and phrases and things like that? Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a bit. So I want everyone to open up a Word document. And we're going to talk about APA. So let me get out of here. It's this one. Oh. Let me try to open up a new term. This computer's lagging a lot. Okay. Let me try to just make a new one. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to look at how to format a paper in APA citation, both a student paper and then a professional paper. So a professional one means that when you get ready to submit, when you have a manuscript, so a manuscript is sort of a paper you write that's not published yet. So we refer to that as a manuscript. So once you have like a manuscript ready and you submit it to a journal for publication, that would be under professional paper. So that's a little bit different. And usually the journal you're submitting to will have their own guidelines. Like, for example, I submitted to college and research libraries recently, and they have like their own style that they want you to follow. It's usually really similar to the standard like for APA, but sometimes they'll have like little specific things. But right now we're going to talk about the student paper. Okay, so we're going to begin with Word. We're going to click on this little backwards paragraph thing here. So that's going to make your where you are visible. Okay, so let's go ahead and usually Calibri is good, Calibri 11. So the main ones you can use are Calibri 11, Arial 11, Lucia Sans Unicode 10, Times New Roman 12, and a couple of other ones. But let's just keep it simple and stay with Calibri 11. So we're going to do double spacing. And then we're going to remove paragraph after the space. So remove paragraph space after paragraph. So right under the double heading, remove space after paragraph. Okay. Next, we're going to insert, and then we're going to go to page number. We're going to go to top of page. Let's see. Be sure it's on the right one. Lane number 3. Yeah, right there. Okay. So one thing that it sometimes has like a different font when you're in the header. So right now I'm up here, you see this little dotted line. So this is the body, and right now I'm in the header. So let's go back home, and then, so it's also Calibri 11. So sometimes it changes it. So you just want to double check to make sure it's in the same font, because you don't want like your header to be a different font than your body. Okay. So we have the header. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and close that. We can just double click anywhere in the body, and then you'll get back to the body. So now we're going to hit center, and then we're going to hit enter 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is cool because with the paragraph thing, you can kind of keep track of where you are. So now we're going to type in title of paper in title case. And then I'm going to hit enter, and then subtitle in title case. Okay. So I have the title and then the subtitle. So now I'm going to hit enter twice, 1, 2, and then you're going to type in your name. You can type in your name if you want. This is going to be like a template, so you're going to save it so you can come back and edit it later. Okay, so
I have a question.
yeah.
Okay, so you clicked on for the line spacing. Can you show me that again? Because I think
Yeah.
there's something, you clicked on the line spacing and mine looks different. So yours says, what did you do? Add space before or add space after paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Never mind. I see it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So then after name, we're going to type in, we're going to hit enter again, and then we're going to type in the department sponsoring the course, then the school's name, San Bernardino, California. So whatever department, California State University, San Bernardino. And then the course name, whatever it is. Then a colon, whatever studies, whatever it is. And then the professor, Professor Smart E. Pants. Oops. And then the date. Okay. So you're going to come in and, you know, the department, you guys are probably all the same department. Then the course name, the title of the course, then your professor, and then the date. So I don't know. Today is what? October 19th, 2024. So it's going to change based on when it is. Okay. So now we're going to scroll up to the title. And then we're going to click it, and then we're going to bold it. Oh, and the subtitle too. So you're not always going to have a subtitle, but if you do have a subtitle, you want to bold that one as well. Okay. All right, so let's see. Now we're going to, 1 second. Let's go ahead and hit Control Enter. So we're going to be on page 2.
Do we hit enter first and then control enter?
No, you hit Control and then Enter. So you hold Control and then you hit Enter. And what that's going to do is going to bring it, it's going to include a page break, and it's going to bring you to the second page.
Okay.
So we're going to do methods, enter. Then we're going to do results. Scroll up. And then enter again. Then we're going to do discussion, enter, and then conclusion, and then enter. So let's hit backspace. So you want, after each like little paragraph thing in between the words, go ahead and hit backspace because we want those on the left. And then same for the conclusion. And then for each of these, we're going to want to bold them. Okay. So after that one, let's see, we're going to hit Control Enter again. So now we should be on our third page. We're going to type in references. We're going to bold that as well. So now that's going to be the basic outline of your student paper. So let's go ahead and hit enter again. And then let's get rid of the bold here. What we can do is hit backspace, and we're going to do Control T. And that's gonna create a hanging index. Okay, so it's not gonna look like anything, but if you hit Control T, it should have a hanging index. So actually, let me look at the ruler. Okay, so do you guys, so you may or may not have the ruler showing automatically, but if you did the Control T, right, then you'll notice that the little arrow is to the right. So you're gonna have an arrow that's aligned with the margins, but then the second arrow is gonna be to the right. And we wanna do that because when we do our references page, it's gonna be a hanging indent. So the first line is gonna be all the way to the left, but every line after that is gonna be indented for a bit. Okay. And now you can just file a save. Well, you don't really need to save. Like nowadays, it saves it for you automatically, I think. But this is going to be your standard document for student papers. So you can come back and then type in, you know, whatever it is, your title of your paper, and then just fill it in like this. You might need to change this because this is sort of like the standard methods, results, discussion, conclusion. But maybe for a paper, you don't need like one section, or maybe your professor asks for something else. But this is sort of like the standard. So you can change it as you need to. Okay. Any questions?
I'm a little bit lost. So you started with a Word document and then you just,
Yeah.
centered it and put in these topics. How would I go back? I didn't open up the window or anything to do my own Word document.
Okay. Yeah, so you want to go like from the beginning?
Yes, so should I open up a Word document so I can follow along? It's hard to do it when I'm trying to listen, I guess. I opened up a Word document and you went on the print layout, you said?
Yeah, so, oh, I have another one here. So I'm going to start by clicking on the little P over here.
Okay, let's see where
And
you
then-
are. Okay. Okay, I got it.
And then the second
And
one,
double
double space. And then you want to remove space after paragraph. So what I can do is I can link you to the page that has all the instructions.
okay, that will be good. That will be great.
Okay, so, and this is good for everyone too. So it's going to be the LibGuide that I've been linking to you guys. So we're going to click on LibGuides. We're going to go down to educational leadership, and then we're going to go to the educational leadership LibGuide. Okay. So we're going to come over here to APA 7th edition. So let me actually link this into the chat. So we're going to come into APA 7th edition. We're going to do paper formatting student paper. And then that has all the steps.
I had a question. If you only have one reference, do you still put references as your title, or can you put reference, or is it always references?
That's a good question. I'd say references. That's not a question I've ever heard before, but just to keep it standard, I'd say references, but also double check with your professor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Okay. So we were gonna do it's 1:30. We were gonna do the professional one, but I think we can skip that. I can just show you guys how it would look. So we're gonna come down to professional paper. Okay, so it's gonna be a lot of the same things. So you would hit the paragraph, you would do the Calibri, make sure that it's Calibri 11, double space, remove space after paragraph. So title of paper in all caps. So that's going to be the different thing. That's going to be in your header, okay? And then no abbreviations, no more than 50 characters. So yeah, you probably won't be needing to use this until you get to like your first manuscript. Any of you guys close to like a complete manuscript, by the way, like getting ready to submit? Okay,
No.
got it. No, okay.
Scare us like that. Just kidding.
Sorry, say that again?
Scare us like that.
Yeah.
We're in the first semester still.
I was like, wait, what do you mean?
Like what manuscript?
Got it. No, you guys have plenty of time. It's cool. So we probably will have workshops on how to like do this like later on once you need to get to that point. But yeah, don't worry about this until like later on once you're getting ready to publish something. So it is a little bit different. So I probably won't go over it right now because you're not going to really need it for a while. But when you do, then it's going to be here. The main thing is you're going to need the title of your paper in all caps. And if you guys read like, you know, journals and articles, you notice that the title is always like on the top on each page. So it's basically that. Let's see if there's anything else different. The methods, results, discussion is different. You have your title of your paper. So you do have after. So the main thing is you're going to have an abstract, right? So you're going to have your title page, and then at the end, and the next page, you're going to have your abstract, and then your paper is going to start on the next page. And then you're going to have your references. So you're going to include an abstract page there. If I had my manuscript, I could show you guys because I just finished doing this. Let me see if I have it on here. So this is the manuscript that I just submitted. So you're gonna have your title. So it's not, the title is a little bit different because you have to anonymize it when you submit it for peer review. But you have your abstract and then you have your introduction. This is actually a draft, so it's not the final draft. But you're gonna have your abstract on one page, and then the body of your paragraph begins, and then you do, you're gonna have like different subtitles. Like for me, this was mostly a literature review. And then I had little titles under each one. And then I think we had a discussion afterwards, after you're through your literature review. And then you do that. And then at the end, you have a conclusion. Your conclusion is usually really short. And then you have all your references. So you're going to have a good amount of references. But again, this isn't a good example because this is the draft, not the final draft. But yeah, so long story short, don't worry about that. You guys are probably still a long way from having to submit a manuscript. But when you get to that, we will have, you can schedule an appointment with a librarian. And then at the end of this session, I'll link our calendar so you can see if we're having workshops covering that. Okay. So I don't want to really scare you guys anymore. Any questions about that? Okay. Do you guys want to take a break or do you want to go on to the next section first? Do we get a vote?
I'm okay going or taking a break as well. Do you need a break?
I can go on for like one more thing and then we can take a break after that because this next part's going to be kind of short.
There we go.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let me fix my, get rid of all of this. So on the topic of journals, I know I just said I didn't want to scare you guys, but we do have a database of journals called Cabels. So let's go back to, and it's a good idea for you guys to like know where this library guide is because it has a lot of information specifically for you guys. So you're going to see me going to it a lot. So from the library homepage, I'm going to go back to the library guide that I was just talking about. So educational leadership. Educational leadership. We're going to come down to, what was it? Here it is. So on the same page, we have Cabell's journals. So get publishing information for journals in business, education, psychology, computer science, and healthcare. Find the best place to publish your research. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. So Cabell's is a place where you can look up journals. Once you finish your manuscript, you need to find a journal where that's going to accept it so that you can publish it. And there's a lot of different things to keep in mind about journals. Really a good place to start is with your professor. And I don't know, maybe some of your professors have already talked about this, but they're really going to know like the journals that you want to aim for. They're going to recommend good journals for your specific manuscript. So I'm going to use one that I recently submitted. So it's called College and Research Libraries. So I'm going to hit enter. And then it's going to bring up its profile basically. So There's other journals that sound like it, college and undergraduate libraries, Tennessee libraries, Virginia libraries, teacher college record. But the one I want is here. So I'm going to click on it and you're going to get all this information, right? It can be a little bit overwhelming. The main thing I look at is acceptance rate, because that means how many manuscripts do they accept? And it says 31%. So any of you guys going for like a faculty job after this? Because a lot of this, if you are, maybe, okay, it might be a possibility. Because once you get to being a faculty, like a tenure track faculty, it's expected that you publish, right? There's a term, publish or perish. So different departments have different expectations. Some departments are really strict on it. So some departments say you need to publish at a really prestigious journal, and prestigious can be about like 10% acceptance rate. So that's considered like really good, really prestigious. But you only really have to worry about that if you're a tenure track professor, and if it's like a really, you know, I don't want to say cutthroat, but like really more strict and more prestigious like requirements. So luckily for our department, it's not that hard. Like this is like a more than enough good acceptance rate to submit to. But you get a bunch of other things too. So like the cite index, how many citations it has. I think closer to 1 is like really good. Because I know College and Research Libraries is a really well-known journal in librarianship. So you can look at disciplines. Doesn't really tell me a lot. Topics. So it's pretty, some of these things are going to be like pretty self-explanatory, like research libraries and academic librarianship. Like if you already know about a journal, it's probably not going to tell you something new. Citations, mentioning it, supporting, and then disputing. So it's going to tell you different things about the journal. Open access. So College and Research Libraries is an open access journal. So that means there are no limitations on it. You can usually access what's published on it for free. And again, I don't know how it works, like while you're an EDD student, but once you're like tenure track faculty, different departments have different opinions on open access. There's a lot of, I don't want to say stereotypes, but like some people think open access isn't as prestigious, so they might push you to publish in like a non-open access journal. But that's another thing to keep in mind. This is another good one, submission. So it tells you really how to submit. So they want 3,000 to 600 words for their manuscripts. Invited articles, that just means like, do they ever invite? And 0 to 5% means no, because I think this journal and a lot of journals are kind of just open all the time. So if you ever have an idea, you can just submit. That's the case for this one. Style, I think this one's wrong. Well, they told me to do APA, so that's how I formatted it. Again, acceptance rate 31%. That might not sound good, but that's sort of like average, I'd say. I don't know. So they don't have anything about submission fee, review fee, publication fee. I didn't have to pay for anything, so I guess that's accurate. And then time to publication, 12 months. So if they accept my manuscript, then I probably won't see it until like 2026. So in a couple of, hopefully no more than like 1 or 1.5 years. So I just submitted a couple weeks ago, so they're going to tell me if they accept or not. But that's one thing to keep in mind. 12 plus months isn't, I've seen a lot of like 6 months. You definitely are going to have to wait a while. It's not like instant, right? I'd say 6 months is like the accurate time to wait. So peer review process. So double anonymize. Time to review, I'd say that's accurate, 2 to 3 months. So this whole publishing process is a process. So you writing, doing the study, writing whatever it is, that's probably going to take a while, maybe like a year, depending on what you do. If you do a full-on study, if you're just doing a literature review, you know, depending on what it is, that's going to take a while. Once you have the manuscript ready, you're gonna submit it, and then it takes a couple months for them to get back to you. So for me, I'd say maybe I'd say about this time, like 2.5 months. So they're either gonna tell you, they're almost never gonna tell you, yes, we accept it like that, we're gonna publish it. That almost never happens. What you usually are gonna get are a revise and resubmit. So I'd say that's like 70 to 80% of responses. And what that means is they're interested in it, but they want you to change stuff. So they can be small things or they can be big things. It really depends on the state of your manuscript. They can be like, change this one section, or it could be like a big thing, like your ending is too open or loose. You need to refine it. So they could tell you that after 3 months, and then you'd go back maybe like another month or two, you'd fix it, and then you'd submit it again. And that's the stage I'm in. So they can tell me, revise and resubmit again. So it's not uncommon to have a bunch of like back and forth, depending on your journal. Or they can say, I'm hoping what it is I'm expecting minor revisions. But then after that, you can submit it and then they'll put it in the queue. They'll say, okay, we accept it. Look for it in 12 months, you know? So this really is a process that takes a lot of time, probably more than a year. So if you're ever, like I saw a couple of people that were interested in faculty positions, keep that in mind. I'm asking a lot of questions about like manuscript, if you guys have manuscripts ready. Because if you are a tenure track faculty, you have to start thinking about that really early. Because you do need to have a lot of things published by the time you go up for review on your 6th year. Let's just look at one more that I was interested in submitting to. So Adult Education Quarterly. This is another one, so I can see a couple of things, the disciplines. The thing that's useful for me is the acceptance rate, but sometimes they don't have like acceptance rate, so they don't have that information. And you can see this one is 9 to 12 months. So it's a little bit faster. Again, no fee. Any of you guys have a journal in mind that you're thinking about? Okay, I'm just trying to think of one, I don't know, social science quarterly. There we go. Some of these are like super well known. So this one, for example, is 17%, which is a lot lower. But Social Science Quarterly is like one of the main ones. I couldn't remember the name, but it popped up, Social Science Quarterly. So that one's supposed to be really prestigious. So that's why you see the lower acceptance rate. And then you can see how many times it's been cited. Disputes. I think that's if like someone has a problem with it, or there's like, there's retractions in journals where people are like, oh, you did that wrong, and people have to like retract their submission. But it's not that common usually. Acceptance rate, 70%, 75, so yeah. And then you could look at their peer review process. So this one's really fast, less than a month for them to review. So that's usually really good. They have 2 reviewers and it's double anonymized. So when you submit a journal, they ask you to get rid of your name and then anything that might identify you in the body, because they want it to be an anonymous peer reviewed, because they don't want the people reading it to know who you are. But yeah, so again, this would be good to keep in mind, like once you're further on in your manuscript and you get ready to publish. But that's here, and it's called Cabell Journal. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, so that was basically that. Let's go ahead and take a break. Let's do a 15-minute break. So let's come back at 2:05. So at 5 minutes after 2. All right, so I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. So let me actually stop recording and then I'll record again, once we come back. All right, guys, we're back. So the last two topics we have are instruments and then Zotero. So let's begin with instruments. So instruments really refer to kind of like surveys, tests, questionnaires, things like that. Surprisingly, they're not, well, maybe not surprisingly, a lot of them aren't free. They they require money to create. But there are ways to access instruments that are already out there, and we'll be covering a couple of those ways right now. So just out of curiosity, have any of you already, or do you have a study in mind that you're planning and that you might need like a survey or questionnaire to collect information? Not yet? Okay. Yeah, so my topic was a literature review, so I didn't really have to do like any surveying. But once you do, you guys will have to go through IRB certification, prepare your study, and then to gather information like that, you'll need like a survey or questionnaire or something like that. Okay, so this next part, I'm not like super well versed in, but we'll just go through what's on the library guide. Because it's really not something that, unless you're like right at that stage of creating a study and like going out there and collecting information, like doing research, it's not something you really run into. Okay, so first of all, we have a lot of books available in the library. Let's go through TestLink. So I'm here on the LibGuide, and again, I could link this in the chat. I think TestLink is the, oh, I checked this when it wasn't working earlier. Let's see if it's working now. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so TestLink, the test collection of ETS. So if you're looking for tests here, you can look for them. This is sort of like a database. Let's try self-esteem and see what comes up, if anything comes up. Adaptive, maladaptive perfectionism scale, adolescent competence, well-being, adult profile. Let's look at this one. This one sounds interesting. Okay. So like the guide was saying, a lot of these things aren't free. So the adaptive maladaptive perfectionism scale was designed to measure perfectionism in children. It consists of 27 items rated on a 4-point Likert scale. Item readability did not exceed the 4th grade level. There are 4 subscales: sensitivity to mistakes, contingent self-esteem, compulsiveness, and need for admiration. It has been used with 4th and 5th grade students. It may be used to identify adaptively and maladaptively perfectionistic children. Reliability and validity are discussed. Okay. So that's sort of when we talk about instruments, it's kind of like a survey, like they were talking about how they designed it, what's it for, what it was intended to. And let's see, it looks like it's open access. No. So you might not be able to access them, but you can definitely look them up. And then this might be one of the things that you do a like interlibrary loan for. Antisocial personality questionnaire. So I don't know that you can access any of these. But again, you can read about it. Like this one's 125 item multi-trait self-report inventory. But yeah, this is TestLink is, I think, one of the it's the only like database that we have linked that specifically for like instruments and things like that. We do have tests in microfiche. So we do have them in the library. So if you're ever here physically, you can go ahead and check these out. Books pointing to instruments, we have the Directory of Unpublished Experimental Mental Measures, Measures for Psychological Assessment, Sex and Gender Issues, a Handbook of Tests and Measures, and then the Handbook of Family Measurement Techniques. So we do have books available here. We have the Mental Measurements Yearbook. So this is another one that, let's see if it's working now. Oh, so yeah, it's another database that you search. So let's actually try self-esteem again. So this is the self-esteem assessment. Let's go back to the result list because it kind of just clicked. Insight assessing and developing self-esteem. So you have a lot of different like surveys and questions for whatever your topic might be. Let's try another one. I'm trying to think of a topic that somebody had earlier. Let's see self perception and academic performance. Oh yeah, that was way too specific. Let's see if self-perception brings anything up. Okay, yeah. So self-perception profile for college students. So if you're doing anything with that, that might be like a good study to, a good survey to look up. So yeah, there's this. The note about this one is I got to it from here. This one is limited to 4 simultaneous users. So you probably won't ever run into that issue, but that issue is there. So for 4 simultaneous users, but I don't think you'll ever have 4 people looking up. Maybe now that I'm directing everyone to it, but that's one of those things. So that's Mental Measures Yearbook. So we have TestLink. We do have a way to look up measures in ERIC and in PsycInfo. Yeah, hello? Okay. Yeah, so I'll go over how to do these in ERIC and PsycInfo and in dissertations and thesis. So ERIC, again, is the database we've been going to. We can do an advanced search here. So come to advanced search. And then, so let's do self-esteem again. And then we're going to come down to document type. So under document type, it's going to be a test questionnaire. So then you do that search. And yeah. So the document type is test and questionnaire. So you can do that. It's like a really specific thing in ERIC, but you can find it under document type, test and questionnaire. And then you could try different terms too. So let's go back and do PsycInfo really quick. So again, like comparing the two EBSCOhost. So like I said before, EBSCOhost is like the platform. So this one is Mental Measurements Yearbook. So anytime you're in one of these, you really have to look at this little green text to remember what database you're searching. So let's do.
Could you share your screen?
Yeah. Is my screen being shared?
I could see it.
I
No,
can see it.
really, I can't see it.
I can see it too.
Is your internet, Maria?
Right now I just see him at his desk.
Okay. Let me stop share and then share again. Maybe that'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, cool. All right, so self-esteem. So now I'm in APA Psych Info. And the way to do it here is a little bit different. So the example I have here is, let's see. If they have tests, tests and measures, yeah, there you go. So there's a way to do it. You have to go in and select tests and measures. And then, yeah, you get study about, interesting, different things, different tests and measures relating to that. So that's the way you do it in Psych Info. You go under the field and then you select tests and measures. Okay. And then let's look at dissertation and theses. I was having a little bit trouble with this one earlier, but can look through it together. So dissertation and theses, this is one of the, I think one of the bottom ones, the additional ones. Yeah, accept all. So we're gonna, again, come into the advanced search. So we're gonna do self-esteem. And then we have anywhere except full text. And then measure or instrument. And I didn't get any results before. So this would be under the abstract because we're trying to search for the abstract on that. But let's see if we get anything. Oh, yeah, we do. We got, a lot of results. So self-esteem and measure or instrument. So the way we're doing it here is we're actually looking for the terms measure or instrument. And actually, let me go ahead and add one. All right. Self-esteem for that one. And measure asterisk or instrument. And then let's add another row, appended. So that means like it's available there. And again, in the abstract. And I think this is where we got nothing. Yeah. So that's why I took that off. So the other way to do it is just, type in measure or instrument actually in what you're searching for, and then a lot of things will come up. But again, I'd say stick to Eric and Psych Info because they seem to be like a lot easier to find instruments. Any questions about that? And again, this is going to be like once you get to that phase of your study. I think in the time I've been here, I've only gotten one question about like somebody looking for a measure or test. So it's not super common, but once you get to that phase of developing your study, once you get like IRB approval and everything, you'll probably get a lot of guidance from your professor. But measures, instruments, tests, that's one thing to keep in mind for how you're going to collect data and things like that. Okay. So yeah, if there's no other questions, we can move on to the final part of today, which is going to be Zotero. So let's type in Zotero. So do any of you already use Zotero? Just raise your hand in the comments.
Yes, I started using it.
Okay, Maria uses it. Philip. Okay. Stephanie, it looks like. Okay, awesome. Have you guys been using Zotero for a long time, or are you pretty new at it?
I just started using it when you showed it to us the last meeting.
Okay,
Same.
got it. So you guys already have like articles in there and stuff?
Same,
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so
a couple.
a couple articles, yeah. So I'll start from the beginning, if we have anyone who hasn't used it. So it's spelled Zotero with a Z, Z-O-T-E-R. You can just do a quick Google search, and then this is what you're gonna come to. This is their main page. So it says, I've installed Zotero because I have it installed here. But if you don't have it, you want to install it here. So it's free. You don't have to create an account or anything. It's encouraged for you to have an account, but to just install it and have it on your computer, you don't have to put any information. You can just download it. So I suggest downloading. I'm using Chrome, so it's going to auto detect what browser you're using. So if you're using, I don't know, Safari, if you're on an Apple, if you're using Microsoft Edge, it'll detect what browser you're using. And then it'll suggest a little connector for Chrome, which I have right here. So if you click on the little puzzle piece, it'll show you what extensions you have active. So I do have the Zotero connector active. So if I were to click on this, then it would actually save this page onto my Zotero. But if you don't have it installed, then go ahead and install it, and then I can copy and paste this in the chat actually. So I'm going to log in. I do have an account, so it's not required that you have one, but I suggest it. Well, depending on what you're going to really be using Zotero for, especially if you foresee yourself working with other people, like collaborating on research, it's definitely a good idea. So I'm logged in already. So I'm going to come into my web library. So this is cool because it has a cloud capability. So you can look at your research library from anywhere. So right now I'm not on my home computer. Like this isn't the computer that I have all my stuff on and that I do most of my work, but this is all my my entire collection of Zotero. So I can access it really from anywhere. And it does have the full text. So I have a lot of things here. Let's go to, this is what my study was on. So LOX research, LOX is the name of a conference I attended. So I have this little indicator here, that's PDF. That means that I can click it and then it'll bring up the actual PDF of that. So this is the article. It has all of this highlight. I've highlighted and then I've made notes and things. So it's really cool that you can access this really from anywhere. So there is you get 200 megs for free. And then after that, you do have to pay. But I've paid for it. I think I get 2 gigs now. I think it's like $20 a year. So if you're doing a lot of research like I am, then it is worth it. So, but I'm kind of getting ahead of everything. So download Zotero and then make an account. That's my suggestion to begin. So this is the web-based browser. So let me bring up the app, okay? So I just downloaded this on this, again, I'm not on my usual computer, so it doesn't have all my things. This is just a bunch of things I downloaded really quick before starting the session. So my study is on Hispanic serving institutions. So I downloaded a couple of things here. So I have 5 articles here. So you can click on here and then they all have this little PDF symbol. That means I do have the full text for everything. So here I have the type, all of these are journal articles, and it has the metadata, it has the authors, and then it has the abstract here. So if I do want to read it, I can just double click and then it brings it up here. So if I want to start reading, oh, that sounds good. Let me go ahead and highlight that. I can highlight green. If I want, I can also make like a note. This is in Spanish, and then it just keeps that note. To look at all your notes and highlights, you click on this little thing on the left, toggle sidebar. So I usually have this open all the time, so I can look at really quickly what pages my notes are in. So it's really handy for you to like make notes, and you could do different things. You can have a sticky note, and I can put it here. Here it mentions first and students. So like if you want to make note about something, you can do that there. You can draw shapes, I think. And then it'll like have that little image on the left. I've never used this, but I don't know, maybe if you want to, like capture an image or something. Maybe some of these reports have like graphs or anything. So there's that. You can have more than one open at a time. So let's say this is the other one. So you can go in and then highlight and do everything. If you're sharing with someone, it's really cool because I work with a faculty from CSU Chico. So we have a shared library. So I can see the notes she's made, and then she can add documents to our Zotero, and then I could read them. So it's a really cool way to like really collaborate. If you're ever think you're going to collaborate with someone who's like not, in your geographic area, it's a really cool way to share research over large distances. Okay. Any questions about that before I move on? Okay. So those were some of the features. That's really all I do with it, besides the sharing and then the highlighting and then the notes. I like to highlight notes like this, so I can, when I'm writing and then I need to refer back to it, I can just look through these things on the left and be like, okay, this is where it was from. So I know how to cite it. Let's go ahead and, let me talk a little bit about like the hierarchy. So this is my library. This is everything. I can click on this little folder and make a new folder. So I don't know, new research. And then it's a new,
I have a question.
yeah. Go ahead.
I added a couple of articles and I inadvertently added the same article twice, and I haven't figured out how to delete one of the articles.
Okay, you can just right click on the article and then move to trash. So it doesn't say delete, it says move to trash.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Good question. Yeah, that confused me a little bit at first. Or you can just click and drag it to like the trash. Oh, yes, you can. But yeah, you can right click and then move to trash. So you can create different folders. You can create folders within folders. New sub collection. So sub collection 1. Okay, so now you could have like a collection within a collection if you're like get to specific things. So when you download things, they'll come with tags. So down here on the bottom left of my screen, these are like tags that they have. So I guess you can search them. College. So yeah, if I'm searching for college, anything with college students that talks about that, get rid of that. First gen college students is that one. And then first gen college students. So these are the tags it comes with. You could also make your own tags. Forget how to do that. Oh yeah, tags. So click on a document over here on the right. You can see all the metadata. So that means information about what it is, its title, the authors, the abstract. If you need to change anything, because sometimes things will be incorrect or missing, you can go in there and then type it. Just click on it. You can add notes. So it's kind of like a little, so it'll bring up a little sticky note under the source. And you can say, this is a note under the article, or look for quotes on page 4 or something. You know, you can type a lot in here. So it's like a little text document. So yeah, then that's going to be there. So now it says I have one note under there. I can add tags, like I said. So one thing I used to do is I can say read. Just remind me that I've read it. So that when I have like so many articles here, I can look at, okay, I remember I've read start to finish on this one. So I know that one's read. Or I can say, you need to read or something. So that's one thing that I like to do to help myself organize. I don't know what the related is. I never use that. But yeah, that's sort of the way I use it. So that's Zotero in a nutshell. Let me talk about the connector. So let's go back to my browser. Let's go back to the library homepage. And let's look up some documents. So let's say I am researching on Hispanic serving institutions, and then I want articles. So I'm going to click on peer-reviewed articles on the left. Okay, so let's look at this one. Yes, continuing the scholarly conversation about Hispanic serving institutions. Okay, let me click on that one. So if I want to download it, I would click on the page that it's at. And then over here, if you can see next to this little puzzle thing, I'll go ahead and click it. So it says save to Zotero. So it's saying it's saving to Hispanic serving institutions. It usually goes off your last folder that you were in. So it has the note and then it has the text, the full text. So I can see that little PDF icon. So I might have had that one already. So it might be, oh, no, it's not a duplicate. So then I go back to my Zotero and then I see it here. Yes, and continuing the scholarly conversation. And then it has a full PDF. So I can click on it and boom, there it is. So it's really easy once you get to that part of the, and then this is the full article. Once I get to this page of the article, the Zotero add-on knows that it's a page about that, and it knows that it has the full text. So when I click the download button, it downloads the metadata, the information, the citation about it, and it downloads the full article as well. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, I have a question. So you said that document you had already downloaded it?
No, I thought I did, but I didn't.
Oh, okay, okay. So what if it did? Would it just do a replicate?
Yeah.
Duplicate in it? Yeah.
So
Okay.
it twice, and then you can just right click and then move to trash.
Okay. I thought it was cool where it'd be like, no, you already downloaded. Okay.
That's a good point. Let's see what happens if I try to do it again.
Just because I catch myself downloading the same document multiple times thinking, oh, I found a new article, and then it's another same one I've already downloaded.
Yeah, no, that would be cool if it did that. But no, as you can see, it doesn't keep track. So now I have two exact replicas. So I can just right click one and then move to trash. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes. And now it's back to one. So yeah, sometimes you have to keep track on what you've downloaded. But yeah, that was a good question.
Okay, I have another question as well. So I think I was messing with the settings. So it says like 7th edition. You know how when you download a document, it has like such a weird name. So I'm noticing that I'm uploading them and it changes. Is it changing to 7th edition or what does it do? It's just the title of the document?
When you say document, what do you mean?
Because it had like a weird like number, whatever downloaded. And then I moved it over here and it gives me the title, Impact of Youth, Risk on Mentoring Relationship Quality. Or is that something I did to create that? Because I was messing with the settings. So that's why I'm like, is that what it does? Makes sense. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. It could be a number of things. So if you download it manually,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
then you get this, and then that could be like a weird number or something. And you could actually click and drag it into your Zotero.
Yeah.
And then what it'll do is it'll look up the article and then it'll fill it in automatically.
Okay. So, okay, it gives it, okay. Oh, that's so good. Okay. I just hate going back and giving it a title. That's why I'm like, I don't remember changing the title of the document. Okay.
Yeah, it'll most of the time do this, but there will be a couple of times where it just can't get the metadata and it will be left as like some weird number or letters.
Okay.
And it is annoying when that happens.
Okay. Oh, that's so nice. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Philip.
Yeah, I was trying to make a subcategory and put kind of like we were doing red. Is there a way to drag the articles, or do you have to do something else to put them in the new folder? Because I tried dragging them over to red and it wouldn't like drag.
So you made a folder like this and you named it.
Yeah. Because I think they all go into like the My Library, right? All of the articles go in there and you just create this the folders to put them in, right?
Yeah. So if you click on My Library, that's everything.
Yeah.
If you click on, so you have your folder here. You should be able to just click and then drag and then,
Okay. Maybe I gotta retry it because when I tried dragging, so do I have to drag it from my library or can I drag it from another subfolder to another subfolder?
I think you could do both.
Okay, I'll retry it because for some reason I was losing track of what I read and I tried making another folder and I couldn't drag over what I read.
Yeah, so the thing is that when you drag it over, it doesn't move it out of this one. So
Okay, I think that's what's getting me. Okay,
now it's in red. Yeah,
okay. I think that was getting me confused. Okay, thanks.
yeah, I know that's an issue. So let's say, did I mark it as red? I think one of them I didn't read. So if I search red, then the one with the tag that's red, it brings it up.
Yeah, I'll probably just tag it. I think that'll probably be easier. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, so one thing to note about this, so you can do it both ways, right? So in this way, I went and manually downloaded it. I went to the download button, I downloaded it, it showed up in my downloaded files, and then I clicked and dragged it into my Zotero. When you do that, it's not going to come with the tags. So the other way to do it that I showed you guys is on this page, click on the little page button, and then it'll download it for you. And that way it does come with the tags. So now I clicked it again. So now I'm gonna have, oh, it didn't download. Let me try it again. Maybe because I already downloaded it. Hang on, I'm curious now. If I come back to the page and click download again, okay, I think then it's downloading. Yeah, okay. So it won't download it if you already downloaded it and you're still on the page, but if you like close it and then come back, then you can download the same exact one again. But the point I was trying to make there is that if you download it through the connector, it'll download all the tags that comes with the article. But if you download it manually, then it won't do that. Okay, so that's sort of the easy way you can download. The thing is that when we're on this page, so just looking at the one search result page, I have a lot of things, right? So there's a folder here. If I click on the folder, it opens up, so it notices that there's all these articles on here, and it asks me which one do I want to download. So you can download all of them if you want. The thing is though, this only downloads the metadata. It downloads like the citation, I should say. It downloads the citation, but not the actual text. So let's do La Líder, developing a leadership identity as a Hispanic woman. So select that one and then hit OK. So now it's downloading it. So you see it downloaded, it has that little thing right there, but I don't see a PDF under it. So if I go to my Zotero, this is the one I downloaded, right? La Líder. So notice it doesn't have that little PDF button. That means if I double click it, there's nothing to read. What it does is it takes me to the page, right? So if I want to download it, then I would have to go to the actual page. And then now it's downloading the actual full text. So if you want the full text, which is like I always do, that's the reason I have Zotero, you want to go to the actual page. So if you just do it from that result page, you're only going to get the citation, but not the actual article. So now I have this one that's just the citation, and then this one that has the full article. Does that make sense? So let's go back here. Let's say if you wanted to, like maybe you're like just searching and then like a couple of these sound interesting and you want to go back later and download them, then you could download more than one, right? I'd say, okay. And now it's downloading all of these, the citation, not the article. So if I want the article to anyone, I actually, oh, this one, it downloaded it. But if I actually want the actual citation, then you have to go to that page. I think because this one was open access, so you see here, open access, then it was able to get it. So let me go into, so now you see I have a bunch that don't have the thing, but the other ones do have the little PDF. So it's still worth it to go like click in and then go into the page. And then once you're at the page, then click the little button and you'll download everything. So, academic articles aren't the only thing that Zotero can download. So let's go to YouTube. And let's say, let's go to the Pfau library. And then here's the video on Zotero. Notice that my little Zotero button, it changed to like a little webcam. So Zotero knows what kind of document you're looking at. So let's say I wanted to cite this, I would click on that, and then it's saving this, saving to Hispanic Serving Institutions, Zotero 7, Citation Management Fund Free. So obviously it's not going to download the video, but it's going to download the citation. So I have it here. Let's see, type video recording, title, director, it's the Pfau library. I guess that's the title of the channel. And then for the abstract, it takes what's in the description and then has a bunch of other little metadata here. So it's kind of cool. I mean, you can keep it there as a record if you ever want to cite like a video. Let's go to, I don't know, newspaper article, Hispanic Serving Institution. So let's say you're just looking for like a newspaper article. So this is one from Dominguez Hills, TSU. So I can also click on that and then it gives us a snapshot. So it saves it US and World News Report. So let's go look at what it looks like on the Zotero side. So it knows if we look at item type, web page. So it knows it's a web page, right? It has a snapshot. Let's see. So it takes me to the URL. So it has the URL. So anytime I click on here, view snapshot, yeah, it opens up and then it's just the URL.
So in order to get that little thing on the corner, you have to do the connector?
Yeah. This
Okay.
little thing right here. Yeah, you have to, so back in the Zotero homepage, when it has the download, it has the connector next to it. So you can download it right when you download Zotero.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, you can download a bunch of different documents. Well, not download, but it'll keep track of any sort of different type of document you have. So it doesn't have to be a scholarly article. It could be a video. It could be like a web page. It could be a bunch of things. It knows, well, not everything, but it's usually good about knowing what kind of document it is and then saving it. There was an example with a book, so I guess I can show that. Let's say I'm looking for a book. So let me filter book. So there's this book. It's available online. And notice the little thing changed. It changed to a little book because it knows that it is a book. So I'll go ahead and click on it. And then it looks like it's downloading the full text. It might just be the chapter. So let's go check that out because usually it doesn't download the whole book. So what was this called? Hispanic Serving Institutions. So notice now we're having a couple of different types of little icons. So the white paper is just an article. The blue book is a book. So it says it has the full text. So that is crazy. I've never seen it download the full book. Okay. So I guess sometimes it'll do that. but usually it won't download the full book because it's just too much. That's the first time I've seen it do that. So let's try it at a different result. Let's go to this one. So this one's available on the 5th floor, right? So it still knows it's a book. You see this changed to a book. So I'll go ahead and click download. So Hispanic Serving Institutions, Advancing Research. So let's go back to the Zotero, Hispanic Serving Institutions. Oh, by Nunez again. It's the offline version. So yeah, we'll just have the citation, but you're not going to have the full book. Because usually it's not going to download the full book. It'll just download the citation that you have so that you can like cite it later. That's crazy. Let me try another one to see if it does it again. So ProQuest book, have me down, log in again. So now, so it changed to the book again. Let's go ahead and click download. And yeah, it's doing a snapshot. So it's not going to download the full book. That's usually what happens. So you still, if you go back to your Zotero, you have, where was it? Oh, ProQuest East Central. So it looks like it didn't get the citation information. So let's click read online. And then try it. Yeah, there we go. Transforming Hispanic Serving Institutions, ProQuest ebook snapshot. So now let's go to our Zotero, Transforming Hispanic Serving Institutions. Yeah. So that's usually what it'll do. It's not going to download the full book. It'll just take a snapshot. So I do this a lot, obviously, with articles. With my articles, because I can open them up and then annotate and things like that. So that's really what it's what I like it for, but you can also use it to keep your citations to write it in your paper, like I'm going to show in a little bit. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So I've talked about Zotero itself. I've talked about how to go to the internet and download things and bring them into Zotero. Now I'm going to talk about how to actually like use them to cite your paper. So I have this sample paper here. So it's Zotero sample. So this is like the introduction to my paper. So I have it written, but I need to include citations. So what I did before is I put little quotation marks to mark where I need a citation. So I'm going to click there. And then if you downloaded the connector, you should have a Zotero tab. So I'm in my Word document and there's a tab for Zotero. So I can do, first of all, document preferences. Make sure you're an APA, okay? So it'll ask you the first time you use it, but if you forget what style you're on, it's good to click on document preferences and make sure you're on the proper citation style. So now I want to add a citation. So when I click on add citation on the top left, it brings up this bar. You can type in, like, if you know what article you're citing, you can just type it in and it'll begin like looking for it. I don't remember what it was. So what I like to do is click on the little Z and then click on classic view. So what this does is it brings up all your documents that you have. So let's say I know that was from this article, Hispanic Serving Institutions. I'm going to hit OK, and then boom, it included the citation, Nunez et al. 2015. So it'll include its own parentheses, so you don't need to have the parentheses around it. Okay. So let's say, for example, here, there has been plentiful research exploring this phenomenon. So sometimes you want to cite more than one article. So let me click there, and then I'm going to add edit citation. Again, I'm going to go to the classic view, And then I'm going to, there was a way to add more than one. I think it was that. Oh, multiple sources, yeah. So if you click on multiple sources, it would open this thing up. So let's say I want to cite these 3 ones. And the way I did it, so let me start over from the beginning. So add citation. Then I'm going to go to classic view. On the bottom, it says multiple sources. So let's say I want this one, academic mestizaje. I'll click the green arrow. Then I want Hispanic serving institutions. I'll click the green arrow. And then I want peer mentoring here. And then I'll click the green arrow. So then I hit OK. And then boom, it cited them the way you're supposed to in alphabetical order. So Castro Samayoa et al., Moschetti et al., and Nunez et al. So this is probably like a middle name because you shouldn't have like the first name. But yeah, so it includes all your citations there. So you can easily just, once you're done writing your paper, just click on add edit. And then I like to do classic view and then just click whatever you're citing. Questions about that? Yeah, Philip.
Can you change the way you're citing it? Because like that's if I like for example, if I wanted to use the author's name and then the year, like this person says this, is there a way to change that, or would I just have to go in and type in what I wanted?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So you're saying you're doing a narrative citation. So you say,
Yeah, so because I've been using it and I noticed that it would only cite in the way as though it's being as though I'm paraphrasing it without using the author's name. So I would have to go in and change it to just have the author's name and then the year in the narrative in a narrative citation. And I noticed that sometimes when I would add a new citation, it would ask me if I want to change my other citations to the new way I've changed it.
let's omit author. Looks like that did it. So you would only put the year, right?
Well, when I'm like, if I said like Salvidad said, but I would have to put the last name and then the year.
Yeah, you would put the year at the end. So for example, let me get rid of this. So Garcia stated that HSIs are awesome, right? And then I need a quote. So I'm going to, I already have the author in there. I'm going to,
Well, it's not so much I'm sorry, it's not so much the quote, it's just that I'm using her as a reference in that first part. So with Garcia, I would have to put the year, right?
yeah.
After Garcia. So I was just wondering if there was a way to do that, you know, with Zotero to where, because when I was doing it, it was giving me the last name, the year, and then, you know, the page number or whatever, the way it usually does it. And then I would have to go back in and type it. I was just wondering if there was a way to like switch between the way you cite it.
So if you do it individually, like the way I'm doing it, it looks like if I click on omit author down here, it'll get rid of the author. So for Garcia, if I'm citing Garcia, but I don't want it to include her name because I already included the name, then I would hit OK. And let's say it's page 2 or whatever. Then it would include the year and then the page number.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you're asking.
But I think I would have to put the year after her last name, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would go there. But yeah, so if you do a narrative citation, you just hit omit author and it would just be here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I'm sorry, one other question. I have to download the paper to my laptop to be able to use the Zotero app, right? Like I can't use it straight from like, you know how you could save it to the cloud? Like we have that Microsoft Office for free. I noticed when I go in there to like type a paper, it doesn't have the Zotero app in there. So I think I have to download it straight to my laptop or my PC, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't know about that because I only use Word like on my computer. Like I don't use the cloud version of Word.
Yeah. I think I like the cloud version of Word because it'll give me different ways of typing something out, like if it's too wordy, but it won't have the Zotero app, so I have to download it straight to I have to download the document straight to my laptop to have the Zotero link show up to be able to use it.
Okay. Yeah, probably. I've never used the cloud version, so I can't speak
Okay.
to that.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
cool.
reach out to IT. Maybe there's a way they can do it, but I don't know if you can.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, good questions. Okay. So yeah, we talked about how to cite the quotes, like to have the last name and then the year. And then if you need to do a narrative citation, you can just hit omit author and it'll just put the year. So now let's talk about reference. So what it'll do is Zotero will look at everything you've referenced in the paper. And let's say I want to add bibliography. It just adds it, right? So that was just one click. Over here where it says add edit bibliography, I had my cursor there. I hit the button and it cited everything that was in the paper. In alphabetical order. So if you already have everything cited in your paper and you get to the end, you can do it really easily by that. Just hit this button. Obviously, you probably need to go back because there's a lot of mistakes in the citation. For example, this one, Moschetti. Since we're doing sentence case in APA citation, this would, oh God, it's not letting me unclick. So here where it says peer mentoring as social capital, since that's the title of the article, it needs to be in sentence case. That means it needs to, only the peer has to be capitalized and everything else needs to be lowercase. So we don't want to mess with this actual thing because it's pulling this text directly from Zotero. So to fix that, we would go into Zotero, and which one is this? Peer mentoring. So we would go to peer mentoring. And then the title, we would, let me see. Yeah, so the title, we would want to change it. So peer mentoring social capital. So let's say I did everything. And then what I would want to do is go here and hit refresh. And yeah, it would change that. I didn't do the entire title, but noticed that it changed the words that I wrote. So once you go back into Zotero and finish editing the whole title, then you hit refresh and it would show it here. That's an interesting word, Hispanicity. I've never seen that before. I've heard of Latinidad, but Hispanicity, that's interesting. Learn something new all the time. Okay, yeah, so those are how you do in-text citations and then bibliography citation. So the way I have used Zotero is because I work on Google Docs, because I work with my writing partner who's in a different CSU. So the way I like to do it is you can also right click on something and then you can say create bibliography from item. And then it'll ask you what style, and then you can say copy to clipboard. So I'll click on copy to clipboard, I'll hit OK, and then I'll go to wherever I need it and just hit Control Paste, and then it'll do it there. It'll do it like, obviously you're gonna have to change the formatting. It did it in a different font, but that's another way. Like if you don't have the Zotero connector, you can just right click and copy and paste the bibliography, and then you do it here. And then this for me is a little bit easier to like just go in and edit it here. Because this is a copy and paste, I can mess directly with it. Not like this stuff that's linked with Zotero. So it can get a little complicated, but whatever way you enjoy doing it, use Zotero the way that's most comfortable for you. I think that was it, yeah. Any questions? Okay, so again, I think I linked Zotero in the chat. Yeah, so zotero.org/start. So if you need Zotero or if you need the connector, you'd go there and download it and install it. I mentioned the Zotero workshop, so let me go over that really quick. So here's our calendar event. Are any of you guys like adjunct lecturers here, by the way? No? Okay. I ask because no, got it. Okay.
No,
Okay. If you know any who are, I'm having an event tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Monday, called the Library Ambassador Faculty Reception. So here at the library, I train peer mentors. So we have student mentors and we train them on like library basics, and then they go out and present to first year classes. So I'm going to present that for other faculty. So just to tell them about this service that we have. So I mentioned this because it's going to be from 4 to 5 here at the library, and then we're going to have refreshments. There's actually going to be modelos, so it's going to be really weird. It's going to be cool. So if you want like a free beer here, or if you want to learn about the library ambassadors, feel free to stop by. Okay, so Zotero. I think the ones for October are over. So the next one is going to be on November 8th, Zotero for Mac. So let me go ahead and click and copy and paste that in case you want to sign up for that one. And then there might be another one. Yeah, Zotero. So this is another one. This is going to be on November 20th. So if you want, like, I covered a lot, but not like everything. Like Zotero can do a lot more, like really in-depth things. So if you want to go to one of those, this is just regular Zotero. Let's see, where's the link? So there's that one if you want to sign up, and they're all Zoom. And I think they're going to be recorded. So if you can't make it, it's good to still sign up, and then you'll have like the recording emailed to you. Let's see. So that concludes yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. So let me just go over a couple of workshops that might be interesting to you guys. Find articles the easy way. So this is one where we'll cover just one search, right? So as EDD students, you kind of want to stick to the specialized searches like ERIC, PsycInfo, Academic Search Premier. But if you're curious about OneSearch, or if you know anyone who really uses OneSearch, then this would be one to attend. If you're interested in primary sources for Native American Indigenous studies, that would be that day also. There was another one I thought it was about like scholarly presence. Let me see if it might have passed already. Yeah. There's open access publishing, but you guys aren't really to that stage yet. But if you're interested, I'll go ahead and link it anyway, if you're curious about how to publish open access. Okay, so that is mostly it. Again, if you ever have a question, you can come over here and ask a librarian. We're offline right now because it's Saturday, but usually there'll be a chat box here. If you have a quick question about, I need to find an article about this, or what kind of database should I use for this, or anything really, you can come here. If you want to make a research appointment, like I mentioned before, if you want to like refine your search, let me go ahead and link this. So you can make that research appointment. So if like, I've met with a couple of students already, you can meet on site or via Zoom, which is way more convenient for people. If you don't have a preference, you can select no preference, and it'll link you to it'll make an appointment with any of these librarians. If you want to meet with me specifically, you would click on my name and then click on any day and time that works for you. And then you just put in your details and then confirm appointment. It would email you a Zoom link and we would just hop on at that time. So it's really easy. So yeah, there's that. And any questions about that before I move on of those resources? Okay. The last thing I'd like you guys to do before we call it, before we end almost a whole hour early, to fill out a instruction survey. So if you want to scan this QR code. So just a quick survey about today's session, something you learned, something you're still confused about. If you have questions, there's a space in you to leave those questions and then I can get back to you. But yeah, it should take like a minute or two. And then you could put, I don't know, the EDD program, because it'll ask you what course you're in for. And yeah, I'll give you a minute to complete that. And while you're doing that, I guess any other questions about anything that I might have forgotten or anything that came up at any point that you guys have? Maybe in my email, in the chat. All right, so yeah, that concludes my presentation for you guys today. Hopefully there was good information you guys can take back with you as you begin your research. A lot of fun times ahead for you guys. So again, I'm here, I'm available as a resource. If there's something I don't know, then I'll definitely be able to refer you to someone who can get you your answer. Feel free to reach out in whatever ways most convenient for you, email, appointment, Zoom, whatever. We're here to help you guys. So if there are no other questions, then that's it for me. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys have an awesome Saturday.
Question. Sorry.
Oh.
Do you have any other times available to make an appointment with you? I was just kind of looking, sorry. And I was noticing it's like the same time frame. So are you just kind of like booked off for certain times during your schedule, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way it works is, yeah, we basically have a time from like when we start to when we end. So if you do want to meet outside of that, just send me an email, and then I could make an appointment with you like outside of that.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that came up last time too, because we mostly meet with like undergraduates or like faculty on campus. But I am available after those hours. So like if you need to meet like at 5, 6, or 7, I can make time to meet. Just send me an email.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.